and welcome to your favorite time-lapse channel in the world. My name is Matjoez Vandeputte and I will be your YouTuber today. In case you don't know me, my name is Matjoez Vandeputte. I'm a time-lapse photographer living in Sydney, Australia. This channel is all about time-lapse travel and teaching. That was a decent one. As a time-lapse photographer, I really don't have any use for this lens, yet I really want it. Now, why is that? It's because it is a piece of gear that I don't own, and it is a piece of glass that will allow me to shoot things differently. This is very similar to when I bought my 1DX Mark II, which is what I'm filming on now. It was a very pricey camera at the time. It still is, I feel like. It was a camera that I really didn't need, but that I really wanted. And the reason I wanted it is because it shot high frame rates and high resolution and slow motion videos, which would allow me to shoot new types of content, create new types of shots that I couldn't access before, which in turn would lead to more opportunities and get me into a whole new realm of video making, which in turn opened up a lot of doors, and more open doors should eventually translate into more money, which is what it all comes down to, right? I'm applying the same logic to this lens. I, as a time-lapse photographer, have all the lenses I need right here in front of me, from super wide to pretty long. And this is one focal length, 85mm, that kind of sits in between. Canon Australia has kindly loaned me this lens for the next 2 weeks, which means it'll travel with me to Singapore tomorrow for about a week, which is very exciting. I've already shot with it one night last weekend at an Instameet at night here in Sydney, and I immediately realized that I was going to buy this lens. Firstly, let's go over the specs. So the name, as you would have seen earlier, is the EF85 F1.4 ISUSM. Bit of a mouthful, nogal een boterham, gelijk dat we het zouden zeggen in Dutch. EF stands for electronic focus and is the type of lens mount that Canon uses on their full-frame DSLRs. EFS is what they use on their crop sensor cameras. 85 stands for 85mm and is the focal length. The smaller this number, the wider the lens. The higher this number, the longer the lens. F1.4 stands for the aperture value, or the size of the tunnel through which the light will travel to your sensor. Now, an aperture is variable, and it's a bit of a weird way that they've noted it down, but the smaller the number, the bigger the hole in your lens. Now, this isn't an absolute value, it's a relative value calculated as the ratio of the lens's focal length and the diameter of the entrance pupil where the light hits the lens. Quick little side note to figure out how the aperture works with sharper or non-sharper, because if you stop your aperture down, meaning you close that thing in here, which is a set of blades, it's like squinting your eyes. Alan at Sun Studios told me this once. If you want to look at something more in focus, you squint, right? And that's the same thing that happens with this lens. So obviously the opposite of that is the wider the aperture, the less stuff is in focus. And that's an easy way to remember what the aperture value or what the aperture's behavior does to impact your photo or video footage. The L in the name stands for, you guessed it, luxury. I didn't know that, I had to Google it just then, and it pairs with the red ring, which signifies Canon's highest quality of glass. So whenever you see someone walking around with a red ring, you know they love some luxury, I guess. The IS in the name stands for image stabilization, and it's half the reason I'm so excited about this lens, because usually you wouldn't be able to shoot handheld video with an 85mm lens. The longer your focal length, the easier it is to notice shakes. You don't have perfectly still hands. However, at this focal length, with an image stabilizer, you can shoot handheld, as I'll show you later. And that's, as I said, half the reason I'm so excited about it. The other half is the F1.4, and the other half is the autofocus that's built in, and then the other half's the actual quality of the footage, and then you catch the drift. I like shooting handheld video, and with this IS, this actually allows me to shoot with a minimal kit, just handheld, run and gun, just the way I like it. When I'm shooting time lapses, I've got plenty of gear. When I'm focusing on video, I want to keep things simple, and yeah, just one camera, one lens, and a neck strap to keep it all nice and steady. The USM in the name stands for ultrasonic motor, which is the system they use internally to drive the autofocusing mechanism. Now let me tell you, this lens focuses fast, like really fast. Its sister or brother or whatever, the 85mm 1.2 lens, is an absolute beast. It's got a little bit more light that comes in, and the bokeh is slightly bigger because of the f1.2 versus f1.4 value. However, it is really slow to focus, and that's what a lot of people don't like about that lens, is the fact that it's moving around so much glass and so much stuff internally, it takes ages to focus. And this thing is bloody fast. Something I forgot to mention, what I also love about this lens, and that's just me personally, it's got a 77mm filter thread, which is the diameter here, in which you screw in your filter like a polarizer. I still have to make that video, oops. So this is a circular polarizer that I'm trying to fit in nicely, which screws in, and the awesome bit about this, as I mentioned, 77mm, it fits on my 24mm 1.4, on my 24-7, f4, on my 16-35, on my 70-200. They can all use the same filters because they have the same filter thread. Now, let me show you some footage that I shot with this lens last Friday at the Global Night Squad Instameet here in Sydney. Shot it all on the 1DX2, all handheld, pretty much all of it at f1.4 at 100 frames a second, playback at 25 frames a second. If it's sped up, I'll tell you, but that's me showing you how quickly this autofocusing works at night, which is very special. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Voila! I think it's quite easy to see why I like this lens so much. It just allows me to shoot stuff that I can't shoot with the current gear that I have, and yeah, I had an absolute blast. I shot all that stuff in like maybe 40 minutes or an hour. I wasn't there for the whole meet, which was wildly successful, by the way. Well done, guys. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you lot. What do you think about this lens? Would you prefer the 1.2 versus the 1.4? There's also a 1.8. Canon really has a lot of glass. Leave us a comment with your opinion down below. Every comment helps the channel. Check us out on Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, you know the drill. Leave us a like and a comment, that all helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be taking you guys along to Singapore starting today. I'm cleaning up this table, starting a vlog, a whole travel bit, a whole thing. It's gonna be fun. I'll see you guys in Singapore. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one. Post-credit scene. Not a blooper yet, maybe after this one, who knows. Something I forgot to add, diversifying your shots. If you are usually shooting wide-angle shots, which is common, I like shooting wide because I like showing a whole scene. Where I'm at's usually a pretty epic spot, so I like trying to fit it all in. Now, how do you become better at shooting and editing and all that stuff is if you have more diverse footage available. So if you have a wide lens, not a wide lens, if you have a tight lens and a wide lens to juxtapose those shots to create contrast between your images, and also being able to isolate your subjects more, because with a longer lens there is less confusion in the backdrop. It's more tight, obviously focusing the image and the viewer's eyes onto your subject. This eventually makes for better photos, better videos, and just better work. So strongly suggest getting a long lens if all you're doing is shooting on a wide lens. Now let's see if we messed up in this video, shall we? Blooper time, 1, 2, 3. Here we are indeed, ladies and gents. This can scooch to the side. Who needs it? Who needs it? No one. Testing the audio and clap. It is because it is a piece of... It's because a piece... I want to talk about EF1... No. Now first... calculated by the focal length, and fuck me.